Hi guys, it's Raylan, and I look a little different right now because I had to get the red out of my hair. I'm naturally a strawberry blonde, so wanted to go back to about 2 shades lighter than my natural hair color so I could start at a base and then go wherever I want so I can just have my natural hair pretty much back. So, sorry about this right now. I kind of like it, but it is what it is. It's a step. It's just a step. Alright, really uncomfortable video today, but we're gonna jump right into it. And it's not a light topic, so I'm not trying to make light of something that's difficult. I'm not trying to belittle the difficultness of this topic and what everyone goes through who's been in this situation. I'm just trying to talk about something I've never seen anybody talk about before. So why not be the first one to do it? Let's jump into this. So, as everybody who follows really closely to my page knows, I currently had to file a 10-year restraining order. It was granted against somebody who brutally beat me multiple times and who sexually assaulted me. This was back in, 2019. It wasn't right now, so it's back months ago. It was in September. But anyways, thankfully I'm safe and good now, but I want to talk about a really difficult topic. So I should stop beating around the bush and just get into it. It's, what do you do the first time you want to try to have sex after being sexually assaulted, and how do you go about it? So here's my advice. Not saying to follow it, not saying I did the perfect thing and you should totally follow what I did because that was great. No, not like that at all. I'm just going to tell you what worked for me. So after everything happened, I was a wreck and I didn't want to be touched. And that's hard for me because I'm a very sexual being. And the person I was with, who was abusive to me for a few years physically, hadn't taken things sexually abusive before. He himself is not a straight male and was a submissive, so I didn't get to do anything with BDSM that I would normally do. It was very vanilla in that area with him. Because he's used to dating men and women and kind of being the feminine role in many instances. So I had been very out of everything physical, BDSM wise, wasn't doing anything, and then in general it was just a very just simple thing. So when he got intoxicated and definitely almost killed me, and sexually assaulted me and beat me horrifically to the point where still in physical therapy, that's where I just came from. After that, I didn't want to be touched, obviously, because yikes, no, thank you. I already was not getting what I needed per se from this person because he was physically very abusive, but when it crossed that line to sexually abusive, whew, it just took me aback, and it was impossible for me to want to do anything, which is hard for me because in the past, before I've been with this person, sex was my outlet. I loved the lifestyle. I loved everything about it. I'm gonna make a new, again, inappropriate video after this one about my feelings on moving forward with somebody and the lifestyle. But for now, we're sticking with this topic, which is how to first have sex after being sexually assaulted. So I've waited months. The person who did it to me was my ex-fiance, and it was awful. I mean, broken nose, a few teeth fell out. I mean, back molars, he hit hard. It was a brutal situation, and I really didn't know what to do because I never had not wanted to be touched. So what I decided to do was, I had been talking to a friend of mine who I've known for a long time. He's a musician. He's an awesome guy. I really care about him. a little younger than me, but just a heart of gold and really, really just a handsome, wonderful person. We had been intimate before. So I started talking to this person again, kind of let him know, hey, I got away from this abusive situation. This was, months later, and I'd like to kind of hang out. For me, in my mindset, I trusted him. He's somebody who we've played around with BDSM a little bit before, and not a little bit, but we've played around with it before, and it went really well. He's a really safe person. He would never hurt me as a friend, so I trusted him. Like, I knew he would never hurt me in a way that I didn't enjoy. It wasn't like smacking someone on the butt during sex, to be super blunt. It was, it was abuse with my ex, and I knew this guy wasn't like that at all. He would never hurt me. The only way it would be painful, anything would be painful, wasn't like an enjoyable way, like using a violet wand or something. It's a sensation. It's not breaking somebody's nose and assaulting them, which it sucks that people confuse that a lot of times, but they're very different worlds. So since the only pain I had felt now for the last almost 3 years was negative, it was from someone beating me in a very non-consensual way. And then when we were intimate, which was a while ago, like when we were first together and first engaged before he ever raped me, when we were intimate, he liked to be sometimes the feminine role, and I never got any release whatsoever. So it was super nerve-wracking to dive back into kind of this world. And yeah, I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to dive back into everything. I'm not going to jump into, too deep, because I was scared, and because he had cut me, like cut me. So I was also, I had healed up, but it was still scary. It still is scary. So anyway, I was talking to a friend that I knew I could trust, who I'd been intimate with before, who we did BDSM stuff, and we did some not BDSM stuff that meant a lot, and I actually really care about this person. So I went over, we're going to call him Jay. So I went to Jay's house, apartment, and we spent some time together. He is an amazing artist in many ways, so we looked through a lot of his art. We talked about things, and we watched this TV show together that was amazing. It was about the mind, and basically how to play tricks on the mind, kind of. It was, I can't even think of how to explain it. It was basically a virtual reality game that this person was in, but what seemed like a lifetime was just a fraction of a second. And it was amazing how they brought different perspectives in. So we kind of got drawn into the show and really were listening to the plot and everything that was happening. I found it super interesting, and he had seen it before, so he knew I would love it. And while we were sitting there, just to get more comfortable with someone, we kissed here and there, and just leaned on each other, and I felt safe with somebody for the first time in a really long time. So that was really wonderful, actually. But I was still scared because I have PTSD, and I know that I hadn't done anything physical since what happened with my ex. So I was very nervous. And Max and I, after that moment, we never did anything willingly. I wouldn't touch him after that, and obviously I wouldn't, and I hadn't been with anyone else. So once we kind of let things naturally go that way, and I felt safe with him, we started very openly talking about what we wanted to try, just things that he hadn't done before, things that I haven't done in a while, things that I enjoy, and then we kind of felt out each other's boundaries with just, a slight hair pull, or, a gentle kiss, and moved very slowly, and it was very nice. Kind of eased back into it. he was vulnerable to me and told me some stuff he wanted to try and see what he thought of it. And it was great, actually. And it was one of those situations where, because he was vulnerable to me and kind of let me do something new with him, that I could be vulnerable too with myself and say, hey, I miss this lifestyle a lot, but because I've only had negative physical attention the last few years, I'm not sure how I'm going to respond. Please know that. And because we had such a good open dynamic about it, it went great. It was wonderful, and it's the first time in years that I've actually felt like relieved, like it was amazing. Like it was such a connecting moment. And I mean, I'm very attracted to this person. He is an extremely handsome man, and he has a heart of gold to match his looks. We're not together, nothing like that. It's just, again, he's a very good friend. But wow, like, to be able to just get that release and to be with somebody who actually knows how to handle your body in a way that pleases you. I'm more of a giving person. I don't like taking, but just seeing how he responded and was appreciative of the things I did for him made everything worthwhile for me as being a true-hearted, submissive type person. It was absolutely wonderful. And I think going back to someone who I knew how they were sexually was really smart too, because I could kind of revisit things that I knew and were comfortable with him, at the same time trying a little bit new stuff and getting myself grounded back to where I needed to be. It was really, really, really wonderful. And it stopped that fear of, oh my God, everything's gonna hurt. And I completely could relax and be happy with him, which was shocking. So that was a really, really, really beautiful way to do it. And we had gotten so in depth about art, about everything we had talked about beforehand, that by the time we got to actually having sex, it was really natural and really amazing. So I was confident and happy with it. And then we're going to kind of side space. So I really enjoyed that, and I was happy. And I'm normally somebody who is a very physical person, but because of everything I'm going through, just took a step back. We met up the once, whatever. We hung out a few times. Him and I, whatever, went really, really good. And he really made me confident in myself and getting back to who I really am made me feel a lot better. But then the next time I decided to do stuff, I wasn't smart about it. With somebody who had feelings for me, and I had feelings for him as well as a friend. And I do have love for this person, but in the moment I was still very scared. This was now, we had gone forward. They had found my ex. We had went and I got the restraining order granted. Before, when I had first done stuff with my friend, he was still missing, and it was a very, like, the one spare moment I had aside type thing. So this time it was like, okay, we've went to many court dates. This is somebody I'm bringing with me and letting into, like, my personal life, not my friend, but the second person. And things were going quickly, and I got pretty nervous to come off like I didn't want to do anything because of what happened. And especially because I had slept with my friend, I knew that I could. And I stupidly let myself be pressured by myself to feel like I was kind of, like, I kind of owed this person, this other person, me, which isn't right when I say it. And that's what I wanted to make this video about, because the first time I respected myself, it was when I was attracted to, who respected me, who trusted me. But I feel like the next time around, it was somebody who really wanted to be with me and really liked me, and I like him, and I liked being with him, but it wasn't for the right reasons. I did it because I felt like if he's going to be supportive and there for me and kind to me, that I kind of owed him something. And I feel like I should not have went about it that way, because it was not anything I got anything out of, and it was very hard on me emotionally. So, and plus, in this situation, I felt like I was being pushed to be vulnerable with my feelings and open. And then when things turned the other direction, this person had some pretty serious decisions that he had to make in his life, and he definitely didn't include me in them at all. Even though it was kind of a health situation, he made a really, really poor choice. He did something really I feel strongly against. And it doesn't make him an evil, bad, horrible person, but he was the type of person to criticize me for, taking 4 Advil because it's bad on your liver, and, being very, you shouldn't skip a meal here and there just because you're stressed out, and kind of took control without meaning to of things in my life while I was in a vulnerable state, and then didn't even ask my opinion about something really major, which he made the very, very wrong decision on. And well, I won't even get into that publicly. But it made me feel even worse about having, on one occasion, slept with this person, which in the middle of it, I did end up stopping it and being like, all right, well, this isn't right. But it just made me feel even worse. It's like, wow, when you do things for other people solely, which is what I was doing the last few years in a really abusive relationship, was trying to save somebody or help them or not be that other person to give up on them. Like, when you go for people like that who kind of force you to be with them, it's not a good thing. This person forced me as in a sexual way. It was just I really want to be with you, I really like you. And it's that wanting to be wanted feeling. Whereas I wanted the first person. I wanted to sleep with him. I wanted him to touch me. I wanted him to put his arm around me, and he grabbed my hair gently and would just hold my hair and rub his fingers in my head, on the back of my head, and it felt amazing. And I was able to cope and get like a positive response because of that. It felt fantastic. And that's something that I loved, and I cherished that because it was how I wanted it and what I wanted. And then this other person who had feelings for me, I care about him as well. It was more of a, oh, well, I don't want to lose this person, and he's been around and really supportive. I love his family. I love a lot of the dynamic, so I guess I gotta do this. And it just wasn't right, and it, at the end of the day, is not something I'm happy with how it went down. Maybe it was fine, but it just shouldn't have been the way it was. And I just urge you guys to think about this. If you've been in the situation I've been in, if you've been sexually assaulted, you feel very degraded and very, low. You shouldn't, but you do. You feel like if someone can look at you that way and treat you that way, like a dirty rag, then you must not be worth a lot. And having somebody come hard and heavy at you, like, wow, you're everything, I really want to be with you, you're perfect, that's overwhelming. And a lot of times, in my case, and a lot of people's cases that I see, they put their own needs and wants aside because they want to be wanted. And maybe, hey, this person wants me more than anything. It's not my ideals, or maybe I don't like some of these choices they're making, but they really want me. And sometimes you feel like, well, maybe I owe that to them, which you don't. But it's hard when you've been assaulted because it puts you in a mindset where you feel thankful for somebody who's treating you like they want you in a positive light because of how negatively somebody else had made you portray yourself. So it's really hard to kind of put your foot down. And for me, I probably would have ended up spending a lot more time in this situation if it wasn't for actually seeing the light in it, which was with these recent decisions. Sorry, I keep playing with my shirt has a little hole on the side, so I keep playing with it. So I'm sorry if that's distracting anybody. I'll stop it. But it's one of those things, like, I cared about him and I liked him, and when I saw I was like everything that he allegedly wanted, it felt great. But I see now that he's fine doing things that he likes to for me. So he would change little things and do little things for himself, like, you know, spend more time with me. Something he wanted to spend more time with me, so he would be interested in the animals and stuff about them. But he was getting something out of it. And now that something serious had happened, and he had been to court dates with me, other things with me, to serious events, he wanted input in the serious things in my life and the serious things in his life that he felt he was gaining something from, like spending time with me or getting to physically be with me, touch me, whatever, or you know, like if you got into the animals, that would be a way we could just spend the day together, work together. And it's one of those things, like when it benefited him, it was great. But when it's something like the decision he recently made, which was incredibly wrong and weak-minded to make, it just wasn't the smart adult decision at all. And I can't condone something that's very poorly thought out. There was no communication and no anything, because he chose something dumb and then chose to stick with it, and it's not going to fly by like nothing happened, because that's how you get into very vicious cycles. So I urge you all to, if you're jumping into something, make sure it's on your grounds and your terms. A relationship or sex, after being in such an abusive situation, especially if it involves sexual assault, it's hard. And when I did things on my terms, with my body the way I wanted, it went wonderfully. But when it was just, oh wow, somebody wants me, maybe I should give them a chance. They obviously, you know, maybe they're not what they seem. When you're convincing yourself that somebody should be with you because they like you, that you should be with somebody, then you're kind of lying to yourself. You have to convince yourself to be with somebody. Why are you convincing yourself? You should be with somebody because you want to. And that's something that I really, really wish I would have, even now, kind of put into play more. So please take note that it's what you want. And this person actually said to me, he looked at my old video, my BDSM video, and he's like, oh, the submissive thing, we're gonna get you out of that. It's like, well, I haven't done it for a few years, but it's a lifestyle and it's what I am at heart, and I love it. And he's like, oh well, that's something I'm not gonna do, which I didn't ask him to do it at all. But it's one of those things, like, okay, fine. It's like, yeah, we can do any do a lot of stuff that I'm uncomfortable with on the other end of things. He's a lot more grabby than me, he's a lot more touchy-feely than me. I'm not into that in the way he is. But I was like, you know, it's a lifestyle, it's something that you can love, it'll always be a part of me. And he's just, yeah, that'll change. And it's those things where it's like, okay, well, you can change things about you because you weren't set in stone about those things anyway. So they're things you'd change either way. You're just changing them to a way that you can be around me. But then if I needed something, I couldn't get it. And I was convincing myself that, oh, well, you like his family and he loves you and he's there for you. But that's not enough. That's a best friend, and I've got really great friends. I have my tattoo artist is actually, one of my tattoo artists is the best man in the whole wide world. Truly. And I love him with all my heart as a friend. And he's there for me, and I want to be there for him, and I should be there for him more than I even am, because he's an amazing man as a friend. And it's one of those things, yeah, I could see myself married to somebody like him one day, but I love him as a friend, and I keep him as a friend because that's what it is. And I don't know why, but when somebody's been manipulated or abused in the way that I have been, as far as sexually assaulted and physically abused and manipulated to thinking it's my fault, it's really easy to get trapped with somebody who is like that again. This person, like I said, definitely in no way, shape, or form he was never physically abusive. He was never even yelled at each other, nothing. But it's those things like you're willing to pretend like you're changing the world around so you can be with me, which I don't want and didn't ask for. He just was doing things on his own, and then all of a sudden It's like you can make a huge poor decision on your own and just toss me to the side like I don't have a brain or don't have anything to offer. And that's not right. And I think it would be super easy for me to just have let him make this mistake, and when he's done with his mistake, just be there and go on our merry way. He could still be interested in the animals and still be a buddy to hang out with, and I would occasionally set aside stuff and be physical with him, like in a positive way. But that's not what life should be about. You should be able to say I didn't like that, and hey, I need this, or hey, you know what? At the time, I needed someone like Jay, my friend. We'll call it as the friend we're calling Jay. I needed him in that moment. I'm so glad that was my first experience after being sexually assaulted. Many months later, obviously. But I was so glad in my heart it was with him, because it was someone I was attracted to. Someone who respected me, my lifestyle, my mentality, who was attracted to me as well, who made me feel comfortable in my body, pretty, not pressured, who listened to my hard limits and played games in a way that was fun and cute, and it made me feel confident. So please, I know it's really hard to feel like you're valuable when someone devalued you in such a way, but hold on to yourself and your humanity. Know you are worth it, and someone out there will love you for you. I'm not saying if you're a bad person you can't change. I'm not saying if you have a bad habit you can't get over it or get better or move on, because people can change, people can adjust, but the foundation of what makes you you shouldn't. I could change a job or where I live, or if someone's really bad to me I could cut them out of my life, but the foundation of the things that you need to function as a human, like I need honesty, I need somebody who can seriously talk to me on an intellectual level. You shouldn't settle for changing those things just because somebody cares or wants you, just because somebody makes you feel wanted again. And nobody has a right to you. No one has a right to say, hey, I am going to end up with you, I'm going to marry you, you're going to be with me, this is how things are going to go, this is how the future is. No one has that right to just force you to do that. Be sure it's at your speed and what you want. And if you don't ever want that, that's okay too. It's okay to have a friend like my friend Jay, who once in a while you meet up, you do something to get a physical release, and then you just focus on your work and your kids and your life, whatever you got going on. Art and music, my children, my animals. That's my life, and that's what I really, really, really care about and want to move forward with. And having a good friend like Jay, who gave me a physical release, made me feel safe, that was everything in that moment. And yes, of course, I'd love to be with somebody and end up with somebody, but not somebody who makes it seem like they want me for me but then doesn't. So just please don't give yourself to somebody who is maybe not abusing you, but who isn't seeing you for you. Make sure that the first time you walk into something after being at such a vulnerable stage, that you don't take what you can get because you feel like that's what you're worth. Stand up for yourself, be there for yourself, and know that you are worth it. And maybe those people that made you feel pressured into something will work out or may turn around and may be who you end up with. They could be fine. But at the end of the day, be true to yourself and be true to how you feel. Don't change that for anybody. Don't let anybody put you down with that. Because you should be able to, after going through something so awful, you should be able to be comfortable in your body and do things the way you want, at the speed you want. Not being bossy or forcing anyone into anything, but you shouldn't force yourself into anything either. Stand up for yourself, because you are rebuilding everything from the ground up now, and you should take things as peacefully as possible in the way that you need to heal. I love you guys. Thank you for listening, and I will do a little bit more of an in-depth video on this pretty soon to come. Love you guys.